Good morning, everybody. This is No More Toxic People. Today, my subject, and I hope that you will stick around to hear this video, is about the female narcissist and the flying monkey. And can they be one and the same? I want to let narcissistic women who cannot leave married men alone, or married narcissists who cannot leave men alone in general, and who will sleep with their friends' husbands or anybody really that they think they are getting something over on some other female. But today I want to focus on the female narcissist. And mostly this is in regards to friendship. So that's where the flying monkey comes in. I've been doing some research on this subject before I really started to talk about it, because I have to make an admittance here. I have to admit that I have overlooked someone in my life who I have recently discovered to be one of these creatures, as someone who I consider to be a friend, but I don't think we were ever really friends. We spent very little time together as far as physically, personally being friends. We never really ran in the same circles or knew each other's personal lives. We became friends on social media, and we did spend a little bit of time together in some situations where we both happened to be. But I would not say that she and I were close, like bosom buddy type friends. I'm going to lay my phone down here. Someone is sending me something. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to open it right now. But anyway, the narcissist friend. How do I begin this? I don't want to go into a lot of background about as far as like the history of this person. I'll give a little quick history just so you kind of get an idea. And I'm not saying this applies to all female narcissists, but in her case, it's classic signs. And I overlooked, I have to admit it. This is a woman who grew up in a somewhat affluent home for a small town USA. She grew up in what would be known as one of the more higher class or upper class income levels. Her father was a businessman and successful, and they had a good living. They had a good life. At some point, around probably age 11 or 12, her father committed suicide. And I have to assume that this helped to develop her personality disorder. This probably stunted her. She is stuck in that time warp. I'm assuming that was around the age that he committed suicide. It could have been more into her teen years. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that it was sometime in those years, those formative years. And why I overlooked some of the signs and signals about this person, I have to question myself. As any victim of a narcissist, in hindsight, we can go back and say, well, why didn't I catch that? Why didn't I notice that red flag? Like I said, I don't want to go into a lot of the background because it would take all day to tell the tale, but I'll just say that this person has a very cold-natured personality. What little bit of time I've spent around them, I find them to be condescending. They have a superiority complex. This is a woman who has hit rock bottom more than one time. She has scraped the bottom of the barrel as far as relationships. She has scraped the bottom of the barrel as far as jobs and income, because she has been fired from numerous jobs. She's not someone who walks in business circles. She's not carrying a briefcase and walking into meetings, and but at one time she was a professional. She went to college and she obtained a license and she was a professional and she had a career and she had a good life on the surface. But as we all know, narcissists destroy themselves from within, and her behaviors and the activities that she took part in led to her downfall. Both of her husbands left her for other women, and a lot of it probably had to do with her personality disorder and the way that she treated them, and the fact that she herself was not being chaste in her marriage. That's a kind word. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means, monogamous. She wasn't keeping it at home, if you want to call it that. She befriends people by necessity or by opportunity. When her second husband left her, the woman that he left her for had been someone she considered a friend, and from some gossip and some people who seem to know more about it than I do, the talk is that there may have been something going on as a threesome type situation, and he chose the new woman over the wife. But I think it had more to do with just the opportunity. They were at rock bottom as far as finances. Neither of them were working. I don't know how to go forward with this because I cannot speak from the mind of this woman. I cannot speak from the mind of a narcissist who is so cunning and manipulative. She will befriend someone just for the opportunity to get to that woman's husband. That will be her goal, her sole purpose in finding that friend and becoming that person's friend, is so that she can eventually seduce that man or make it to look like she was the one who was being seduced by him. And she will take that woman's husband, this woman that she considered to be her friend, or they considered her, and she will move in with him and start a life with him right under the face and the nose of the public and the family, and she will think nothing of it, and she will have no remorse, and she will feel no kind of regret. And if a year later she decides she's not happy here, she's not getting the supply and the fulfillment that she desires from him, she will throw him to the wolves and go back and look for whoever, the next guy. Having destroyed that woman and her family and her life will mean nothing to the narcissist. And as women, we are considered to be more of the more cunning, sneaky, underhanded type sex. There's these things that go around that say women can find stuff out faster than the FBI because we kind of sneak attack. And I'm not going to sit here and call other women cunning or sneaky, but I will say that we do have our ways of finding stuff out if we really want to know. And this is in turn part of the flying monkey situation. Now, I want to point something out real quick before I go forward. This woman, and it was lost on me at the time, because when I was going through the situation with my ex narcissist, when the discard was coming, and when I was going through those last few weeks of just fighting to hang on to what I thought was a relationship, this woman was, kind of in my corner, but she was also a mutual friend with the mother of his child, who he was kind of tossing back and forth and kind of going back and forth to her and to me and to other women and back and forth to this woman. And he always kind of kept her nearby and would always return to her. And so at the time, I was so mired down in what was happening to me in my relationship with him that I wasn't thinking clearly about what other people were up to. So this friend starts messaging me, telling me that she had spoken with the other woman, that she was telling her that they had been going through some trials, that they'd been separated, but they were trying to get everything back under, they were moving back in together, they were trying to work out their problems. And this was just kind of putting things into writing for me because I already knew it was coming. I already knew that he was going back. I already knew I was being tossed out. I didn't know the terminology for it at that time. I couldn't use words like triangulation or manipulation because at the time I was just trying to survive through this horrible time in my life. And when this friend messages me and shows me these screenshots this other woman had sent to her, or, that she had sent to me, I didn't see it as Flying Monkey. I didn't see it as somebody who was trying to stir the pot or to create more chaos. Her intention may have been to have me go and throw a temper tantrum and it become a public thing that she could come running to my side for more information to take back. I don't remember my response to those messages. I'm sure they got sent back to the other woman. At this point, at that time, I didn't really consider that she was that type of person that would do that. But looking back on it now, she probably did. So I don't even remember what my response was. But this continued up until very recently. About 6 or 8 months after discard, and I had gone on with my life and was finally starting to get my life back in order. And I get a message from this friend saying, I've got to really talk. It was like an urgency. I've got to talk to you. Please call me, but make sure you're alone when you call me. I need to tell you something. Make sure nobody else is around. And I'm like, what's going on here? What's this all about? Something horrible must have happened. So I call her. And she starts telling me, I had to tell you what this woman did. She messaged me, and she's asking me all kinds of questions about you and the man that, the narcissist. And she wanted to know what really took place between the two of you. And I think what she was really hoping for is that I would say something. She may very well have had me on three-way, I don't know. But I think she was hoping that I would give a lot of details and something that she could take back to the other woman. But I remember that we were on Facebook Messenger talking, and I told her, I said, it's been close to a year since I've seen him or spoken to him. And I said, when it ended between me and him, I left him alone. I let him go back to his family, and I left him alone, and I've had no contact with him. And I said, and these are my very words, and I remember this very clearly, and I may very well have saved these screenshots into an email, because I remember emailing these to my very closest best friend, who knew the entire situation. So those very well could still be in there somewhere in my saved emails. But I remember just telling her, I don't want any problems with this woman. She took him back. If she didn't know the truth about me and him at that time, then why is she asking it almost a year later? If it didn't matter to her then, and she went straight back into his home days after I had moved out, then why is she waiting almost an entire year to try to find out the truth? And it's not my place to tell her. And I think that my friend, so-called Flying Monkey friend, thought that the reason why she wanted me to call her in secrecy, and she was being all covert about it, was because I believe that she didn't know that my fiance at that time that I was living with didn't know about any of this. And I think that she was hoping that he didn't know, so that that was one more thing that they could add to their little game play. But I hated to burst their bubbles because he knew about all of it. I had told him, but she started asking me stuff and saying, the other woman was saying it would be a shame for her boyfriend to find out all this stuff. It would be a shame for me to become his friend and let him in on some secrets. So that was kind of a filler. That was kind of them putting out a filler to see what my response would be. And if I would have said something like, oh my God, I don't want him to know about any of that, and no, I can't please don't say anything. That would have been the fuel that they would have used to have gone after him and kept this whole dramatic smear campaign alive. But they couldn't, because I informed them that he very well knew about all of it and there was nothing for them to use against me. That secrets were not part of our relationship, that we don't keep things from each other. That's narcissist. That's flying monkeys that like to keep secrets, that like to learn about your secrets. This woman didn't know a great deal about me and the narcissist. She knew that we were together for a brief time. She knew that I stayed with him in his home for a brief time. But she didn't know a lot of the details, because she was not a friend that I would confide such things in, secret little details about me and him. So she may have been trying to get some information herself, because I found out later, and it was brought to my attention by at least 2 different people later on after all this occurred, that she had herself made a play for him. Now keep in mind, she's trying to play the flying monkey between myself and the other woman, and in the meantime she herself is putting a plan into action to try to make a play for him herself. So she very well may have been the one that ended up with him, and then she could have said, the 2 of you were fools, but keep something else in mind while I'm telling this story. It was the flying monkey friend who messaged me around the first of the year and asked me, did you hear about him getting married? That didn't even send off a red flag to me. And it was the flying monkey friend that asked me, did I know about it? She was hoping that I hadn't heard anything about it, so she could be the one to tell me, so that she could be the one to drive that stake through my heart, or at least that's what she intended to do. The truth is that I already knew about it. I had learned about it at least a week earlier through a mutual social media friend, and I really had nothing to say about it. She started talking about this ex, the mother of the child. She started talking about she doesn't need a man. She's better off without him. And the only thing that I replied back, because at that point I started suspecting that my messages may be screenshotted and sent back. So the only thing that I said to her was, this may be painful for her right now, but in the long run she's going to learn that she gave as much as she could to this man, and he took everything he could from her for close to 20 years and left her with nothing. He left her with no home. He left her. That was really pretty much all I said about it, was just, this new supply is going to find out what he's really all about, and enough time passes, the ex will be glad that he left, because eventually she's going to find a man who is going to love her and treat her with respect. She's going to find someone who wants to spend time with her, who enjoys her company, and is not out always constantly looking for other women to manipulate. And that was pretty much the only thing I had to say back, because like I said, I kind of suspected that these conversations would be mutually shared, And for all I knew, I had already been told at that point that she had made a play for him herself during the time right after discard from me. And I wondered if maybe the other woman had put her up to that to see if he would take her up on that. I need a drink of coffee. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice here. But for anyone who has stuck around this far, I just want to say, if you have a friend who exhibits these types of behaviors, you may want to rethink your friendship. And you sincerely want to rethink what you share with these people. When we have people that show up in our lives as friends out of the blue, who we were never close to and never really spent time with, and all of a sudden they show up and they want to be in our circle and they want to be our friends, we don't question their motives, but we probably should. It's sad that we have to think in those terms, but you really do. You really have to question everybody around you's motives. If you've been through a narcissistic abuse, you're probably vulnerable and you're probably reeling from the pain that you've already experienced, and you probably just want to have someone around you who's a buddy, a pal, a chum. Maybe you are lonely and maybe you want someone who you can get out of the house with and go do things with. Female narcissists, you won't see it coming until it's already there. You won't know, because they're so good at manipulation and they're so covert about it. This woman, I can describe her as someone with a cold nature, a superiority nature. She deems herself above others, despite the fact that she herself has gone through many public rock bottom situations where she had lost everything she ever had due to drug use, lost every job she ever had due to theft and deceit. She always had a way of coming back. And she always kept one or two people around, close friends around, who she could rely on. And what you may consider relying on somebody, she considered using. Because she had a friend, she had a very best friend who considered her a best friend. And this woman took it upon herself to help the narcissist-flying monkey friend with her finances. She helped her when she was at her home that she lived in after her husband had left and she was unable to afford. She helped her with not only help pay her bills, but also she helped her to get into a smaller apartment that she could afford. She helped her with moving expenses. She helped her to buy clothing when she lost a lot of weight and she didn't have the money to buy clothing. She helped her she drove her places when she had no car or transportation. This is a woman, the narcissist, who has cut ties with her own mother. This is a woman who has no siblings. Her children do not live with her or near her. She has very few familiar ties as far as that goes, as far as dependable relatives or people that she can rely on. She had this one friend, and this friend herself had gone through her own struggles and problems, and she was the type of friend who was overly helpful. She was buying the friendship because she needed a friend and she wanted to be with someone that she could go out and do things with, and if that meant she had to pay, then so be it, because at least to the public she had this great friend. And the narcissist was eating it up. They were loving the freebies. They were taking advantage of the offers, and they were probably underhandedly manipulating the other person to get these things without really coming right out and asking for them. And the other friend is she's financially able to supply these things, and so she has her bosom buddy that she has bought and paid for, so that she has somebody she can call up and say, let's go do this, and I'll pay, and she doesn't have to worry about who's real and who's not real. Neither of them were really being real with each other. But the role that she played in my life was as the flying monkey friend, and I didn't even really see it. About a year ago, she began to hang around with these other women after her husband had left her for the second husband had left her for another woman. She went to this woman's group of friends and she smeared her. She started a smear campaign about this other woman, and all of this woman's friends unfriended her and stopped having anything to do with her, and they all took the narcissist in as their new bosom buddy, as their new part of their elite little group. About it. They do not care if these men have left their families on Thanksgiving to go and have sex with them in the woods or whatever. She's very covert about it. She doesn't bring these men to her apartment because this is small town USA. She doesn't want people talking about her, and these men probably are well known to the community, so she's not bringing them back to her house for people to peek out their peek hole and see her going into her apartment with a married man. So she's meeting them covertly, and she goes to work, and these wives come in, and she smiles to their face, and she's friends with them on social media, and she laughs and jokes, and she is just the sweetest thing, and just under the surface she is cunning. She's waiting for them to turn their backs so that she can laugh and say, you know, I had sex with your husband last night. And she doesn't feel any kind of remorse about it. She feels like she's justified. She feels like she's getting some type of revenge. She feels like that she's been wronged. She feels like that these men really love her, want her, that they desire her, that they can't do without her. And she is giving them what they want in the form of sex, in the form of a hookup without any strings attached. And she herself is getting the supply that she needs. She's feeding her ego that she's self-important, that she's important to these men, and that and deep down, as a narcissist, she is probably waiting for her moment for this to come out. She's probably biding her time for what she's really, you know, when and it has already started to come out, as I myself have learned some of these secrets. Other people are beginning to learn about it. Somebody eventually is going to come public with it. She won't care when that happens. She won't hide her face and pretend and shame. She will. I would not want to be around when all this hits the fan and have people look at me and say, you know, did you know about this? Did you know if she was doing these things? But that's a flying monkey narcissist friend. They do not feel friendships in the way that you feel friendships. You have friendships with people who you confide in and you share your secrets with, and you have friends who you go out to dinner with. You have friends who you buy a birthday card or a little gift, a little trinket for them. You have friends who are there for you when you're at your lowest, and you know that these are the people you can turn to. Find out. There's this old saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I don't consider her an enemy, but I know now, looking back on it, that she was a part of that smear campaign that this other woman had attempted on me. She had attempted to smear me to other people on social media. She had hoped to use this woman as her ally in that. And when they could find nothing that they could really embarrass me or shame me about, they just kind of backed off. And the narcissist, he showed back up about 6 months after this, and I asked him if he was aware of any of this. And of course, if he was aware of it, he downplayed it. And I'm just glad to have all these players out of my life. I do not want to be friends with anyone who does not want to be my friend and has no agenda and does not feel a need to run and tell me every little comment or smirk or condemning sentence directed my way. And it's probably out there right now smearing me to other people. I'm sure that she has started a smear campaign and it just hasn't reached me yet. But I stand here today feeling like I can stand up to it if that happens. Because I feel that the people in my life who stuck around for me through all these hardships, the people who never turned their back on me, the people who put up with my self-destructive ways when I was going through all of that, and who stood by and waited for me to finish trying to destroy myself, and were still there at the end, and helped me to get back up on my feet and helped me to see my worth. Those people are still in my life, and those are the only people that I need in my life. And I will get up in the mornings and I will do my routine. I will go to work. I will spend time with the people that desire my company without any hidden agenda. But it doesn't matter who it is. There's only probably one person who I would trust enough to tell any secret to or to share anything that's going on in my life with. But it doesn't matter who it is, really. You have to just watch your social media. Everything can be saved. Everything can be shared. Everything can be took a screenshot and shared. So the person that you're secretly talking to and saying things to and thinking this person is a trusted ally, just don't do that. No matter how much you want to rant, and no matter how much anger or ire you have towards someone else, or no matter how much you want to share your story with other people, just don't share with people that you... And like I say, you don't know who to trust. You don't know who is going to turn around and stab you right through the back. But... just know, just keep this in mind going forward. Every message that you send to someone, every text, every comment can be saved and used against you later as a part of a smear campaign. So we have to keep our dignity about us. We have to keep our secrets secret. And honestly, we shouldn't really be having secrets that we have to worry about getting out. Just be honest and be a kind soul to others. Turn the other cheek to these types of people. Don't give them anything to work with. When you begin to learn about female narcissists, you will start to kind of see some of the women that you've been friends with or you've had relationships with, and you'll kind of start to say, yeah, I should have saw that. I should have recognized that. But it's hard to recognize it when they are so covert about it, and so they come across as the most trusting, loyal friend, that they enable and empower other women to rise above. This is a woman, this flying monkey friend is a woman who will say publicly, you don't need a man. You don't have to have a man to be a good, upstanding woman. You can stand on your own 2 feet. She she tries to make other women who are in relationships feel guilty and feel bad and feel like they're not as worthy because they have a partner, a relationship, a husband, that they're not as worthy of the womanhood because they didn't earn it on their own. And she really tries to make people feel inferior. But I'll just stand right here and shout it from the rooftop. I wouldn't trade the man I have now for any man. I wouldn't trade the man I have now for any power or amount of money or friendships or anything. Because he's an equal partner who trusts me and supports me equally. And he brings something to my life. And his leaving would take quite a bit away from my life. And this friend did not. She did not bring anything to my life, and her leaving did not take anything from my life. And I didn't mean for this video to run on this long, but keep a watch for that video about the yodeling for the D. I'm going to talk a little bit about infidelity and how women, men and women both, everybody has this stigma, this thought system that men cheat, but they're cheating with somebody. And many, many, many times the women that they're cheating with are also married women. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about infidelity and how, and some of this narcissistic women and how they approach infidelity. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone stuck around. Leave a comment, a like, a share. If you have anything that you would like to discuss concerning narcissism, leave it in the comments and we will talk about that. Thank you for watching.